Hello, welcome Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 26 Migration, let us start our lecture with topic Factors of Migration. There is a set of factors which cause migration. These factors are primarily economic, such as high income, better employment opportunities and jobs in the informal sector and the hope for a better quality of life. Marriages, social insecurity, civil strife, and inter-ethnic conflict are important social factors which influence the decision to migrate. These factors drive people out of their countryside homes. The factors leading to migration vary from area to area and perhaps from person to person. As indicated above, the push and the pull factors work together, generating the stream of migration. The push factors operate to force the people to move out, while the pull factors attract the people to move to the urban nodes. It has been noted that migration is also caused by industrialization, technological advancement, and multifarious changes in the social, economic, and political spheres of life of the ordinary people. Then there are other factors such as regional disparities in economic development, perceived employment potentials in a given region, and a demand for services required in the city. Extraordinary episodes in history such as war and terrorism also lead to migration. Studies have shown that the process of migration is not a simple but a complex phenomena. The factor determining migration may be classified into three broad categories: economic, social, and demographic. The first is economic factor. It has been observed that economic factors play an important role in the movement of population. The volume and the direction of migration depend on the economic conditions. The availability of agricultural land and the size of land holdings may also induce migration. The depressed economic conditions of the people and their state of poverty lead to out migration. The economic prosperity has a high employment potential and leads to in-migration. The industrial nodes have always proved to be more effective than the rural push in the industrial and agricultural countries. In developing countries like India, agricultural development is progressing fast. These factors induce people to migrate to the agriculturally developed areas where adoption of extensive irrigation programs, a high-yielding variety of seeds, and mechanical devices have brought about a green revolution. The green revolution areas in Punjab and Haryana have a high demand for labor. This labor is available in relatively underdeveloped regions of northern India such as eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. The availability of better means of transport and communication also encourages people to migrate. The second factor is social factors. Like economic factors, social factors also play a significant role in inducing migration. For example, women move out from their parental home to the place of residence of their spouses after marriage. This is due to the Indian traditions and values prevailing in the country. This type of migration has nothing to do with economic gains. Chandana suggested that religious freedom might also be a significant factor influencing the migration process. Other factors also operate, such as socio-economic status, information network, cultural context, desire of social uplift. The socio-economic potential has been considered as an important factor to determine the magnitude and direction of migration. In India, people in a low socio-economic stratum are more mobile as they have no landed property to bind them to their native places. There is overwhelming evidence to show that the better educated, more skilled, and economically better off people have a tendency to migrate. The labor market for higher status jobs is universal. This does not mean that all high status groups would migrate. For example, doctors, engineers, lawyers, architects, and teachers who have already established do not move easily. Similarly, the communities who have strong communal ties with the family, follow ancient tradition and custom do not move easily. In the world today, information network, internet, email, and cultural contact widen the scope of having employment opportunities. Sometimes official policies also help the aspirant to migrate in a specific direction. The next point is demographic factors. There are a number of demographic factors which induce a person to migrate. For example, the age of migrant is an important demographic factor. Young people have a far greater desire to out-migrate than the elderly people. Likewise, regional disparities in economic development also play an important role. In fact, a high rate of natural increase of population provides the basis for out-migration. It has been suggested that growth rate of population, among other things, determines the extent of population pressure in a given geographical area. The movement of European population across the Atlantic is an example of the gap in the potential for economic development acting as an important factor of migration. In contemporary India, redistribution of population is partly related to the disparities in regional development. As noted earlier, large-scale out-migration from the thickly populated parts of Bihar and eastern Uttar Pradesh is largely due to the diminishing land resources in the native villages. It may, however, be noted that factors affecting the migration process are many, and it is not easy to establish a cause and effect relationship. Recent research has highlighted the role of multifarious factors at the micro level. The micro level studies may reveal a more comprehensive picture of the causes of migration and also the macro level. Now the next point is migratory selection. The concept of migratory selection implies that some groups in a particular age and profession are likely to be more in favor of migration than others. In order to deal effectively with the causes, types of consequences of the migration, it must first be pointed out why the migration process is a selective one. Some elements of population tend to be more migratory than others. This is termed as migratory selection. Age is one such factor which influences the migratory selection. Young adults and late adolescents are likely to migrate more than the elderly people. Of the millions of immigrants entering United States during the 19th century, 2/3 to 3/4 were between 15 to 40 years of age. Besides age, sex is also an important element of migratory selection. Although there are no universal law, the out-migration is predominantly of males. The reason of departure becomes more strongly female, while the reason of entry is characterized by an unduly large proportion of males. It may be concluded that some occupational groups are more likely to migrate than others. This is an apt example of migratory selection. Ordinarily, selections seems to depend more upon conditions at the place of destination than upon those at the place of the departure. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.